Warning, ladies and gentlemen in YouTube land. My YouTube statistics say it's mostly gentlemen, although I guess sometimes we get these comments from Anonymous, so we're shouting out to Anonymous. Although that's mostly about that other video. I doubt she's watching this one. And sometimes my wife watches, I don't know, but I guess it's mostly men watching according to YouTube statistics, which is fine. It's no difference to me. Just want to recap about Election Day yesterday. It was quite an interesting Election Day, and also just like the way things are trying to be spun and so forth by the media. I haven't seen too much reaction yet. I read Gedalia Shedegin. I don't know how do you pronounce that? Shedegin? Skedegin? Do you have anyone with that name in your class, Faggy? Skedegin? I don't know how you pronounce it. I should know. I'm Hungarian. I don't know, but anyway, I saw his statement, which I'm sure was prepared well in advance. There was very little surprise with the referendum about Kiryas Joel, which is really a fascinating and historic turn of events, and it's going to be fascinating how this is going to work out. All of these things are now going to be necessary. I would imagine a post office is going to be one of the most interesting ones. Now, it's not unprecedented for post offices to close on Saturday if the majority of instead of Sunday, be open on Sunday, if the majority of the people in a municipality or in a postal zone are people who keep the seventh-day Sabbath. So, for example, in I think I don't know if it's Kentucky or Tennessee. There are two areas which are majority Seventh-day Adventists, and those places, I think, still to today have Saturday the post office closed and Sunday it's open. And there was one municipality in California that until recently was like that, and I think just within the past few years they switched over from Sunday to Saturday. The question is, will there be Ingolite who want to work in the post office there in the town of Palm Tree? Will we have from people who want that, and or does it really have anything to do with the workers as much as it has to do with the the customers? But to be honest, there have been Hamish Ingolite who were in the post office for years. That it's interesting in Floral Park Cemetery in Deans, New Jersey, where a lot of tzaddikim are buried. You have the Bobover Rebbes, you have the Spinker Rebbes, the Kaliver Rebbe, you have the Satmar of Shver. They moved from Poland. You have Cheskel Mertz. So you have a lot of tzaddikim buried there. On the other side there's the Stratner Rebbe. That's the only oil on the other side of the road. But it's a special place, the Floral Park Cemetery. And it's fascinating. On the side where all the tzaddikim are buried, you have also the Jewish Postmen's Guild or something, or they have a cemetery plot. I don't know if it's necessarily from, but Jewish. But there was a story. It was about Tshuva in Williamsburg in Satmar, a Satmar Chassid who was a postman, and then he helped get a lot of Satmar Galite jobs in the post office. So maybe back then they learned more English, but I'm sure there are in Galite today who could use such a job, and it's a nice job. It doesn't pay tremendous amount, but it with a big family, maybe it's not for everybody, but it's a nice job where you can really pretty much sit and learn a lot. You have a lot of free time. Here we have, in Fallsburg, there's a Frum postmaster. He lives in Rock Hill. He's in Lubavitcher. And even though he's not maybe from Anash, but someone who, I recently been learning a lot of his Ksavim, his Perushim, just because I have a wonderful free app on my phone that I've spoken about, and so every now and then I look at the Perush. Usually I just use it just to stop to have Mishnayos. But Pinchas Kahati, Zichron Livracha, I'm pretty sure in Eretz Yisrael was a postman, and as I understand it, traditionally, maybe not as much today, but in the earlier days, the 60s and 70s, it was very common in Eretz Yisrael for Charedesh Yidden to work in the post office. So, of course, in Eretz Yisrael, the post office is closed Shabbos and Yom Tov. Shabbos, I don't think it's going to be as much of an issue. They could be closed on Shabbos, open on Sunday. The question is Yom Tov. But then again, when they can have other people come in, but will it be necessary? Meaning, if you're not going to have any customers that day, do you need to have the postal branch open? And most likely not, because as far as I know, there are postal branches around the country that maybe are just open for an hour each day or things like that. So it shouldn't be that big of a deal to be closed on Yom Tov, or maybe to have someone come in for 1 hour on those days, someone else to come in. Obviously, the post office gives generous vacation time. Far more than is necessary, for all of Yom Tov and Chol Hamoed and everything. I think it's something like about a month of vacation time throughout the whole year, maybe even 6 weeks. So at least that's what I heard from my postmaster. So all that's interesting. Talking of our postmaster, if you're here in White Lake, we're going to have a big event. Not this coming Shabbos, the following Shabbos is the bar mitzvah of our postmaster, Steve Burke. That's going to be a lot of fun. And it's going to be a big event, probably the biggest event of the winter here in our shul. And we're hoping that it's going to draw new people, help them get introduced to our shul, feel comfortable coming to our shul. And, we'll see what happens with that. We're praying that it should be a big Kiddush Hashem. It's an adult bar mitzvah, which is kind of an American thing, but there's no Isser involved. It's it's not derech minus either. It's not like a Shaila bat mitzvah, which also to be Makar of people we would be happy to acquiesce and engage in that, even if it's not what we do in Zerah Hamish Chaver. So a little different than, obviously it would be, like how they do in the modern Orthodox schools, probably, something like that. Maybe a little bit more from than that, depends, but could do something. What else? So I wanted to talk. So we're still talking about this referendum of the town of Palm Tree. personally, I think the name is kind of silly. Now, technically, Teitelbaum doesn't mean palm tree, but it's specifically a date tree, a date palm tree. Now, this scientific name of the genus of the date palm is Phoenix, but Phoenix is taken already, as is Phoenixville and Phoenicia, although those would be good names. Originally I heard that they were talking to either call it North Monroe or call it Satmar. Then the Satmar Rebbe would also be from Monroe, or now from Palm Tree, or from Kiryas Joel. It would now be the Rav of Satmar. If that was one of the names they were talking about, that would be interesting. If that would be the name, or New Satmar, like New Square, I don't know, but the thing is, there is the folk etymology, which is not really true, of what the Romanian name Satu Mare. Satu means city and Mare means big, but there's a folk etymology that the old Satmar Rav believed that it was a shame of Avodah, and that's why he would call it Sakmar instead of Satmar. But even though Reddach from the Yiddish Afro, but that's not what it really means. But that might be a reason. I haven't really spoken to anybody about why they picked the name palm tree. It just sounds kind of silly. Maybe they should reconsider. They do have some time to consider a different name. But I think North Monroe is as good of a name as any. You have like East Syracuse or whatever. So we are where I live, Kanianga Lake used to be North White Lake. And that was really basically just because White Lake proper, by the 17B. And incidentally, you should note, and people should know, that the shul is in Kanianga Lake. I have a lot of people who claim to me the shul is in White Lake, and so therefore people in Kanianga Lake have a right to make a minyan without the reshus from the Rav. But that's just hevel, because of the fact of the matter is the shul is in White Lake, but also the Rav is the Mar the Asra of the whole town of Bethel. Just like the Satmar Rebbe in Monroe is the Asra of really the whole area of Monroe, basically until like halfway to Muncie and halfway to Bloomingburg, essentially. And that's the psak that Reb Getzel, the Dayan, gave, and Reb Getzel is respected on both sides, and it should be respected like that. And he doesn't insist reshus to open up his medrash, but he does insist reshus for Seder Kedushin, but really a Mar Asra could insist on reshus to have a minyan, private minyan, and so forth. Particularly in the winter when we struggle a little bit, and we can use all the help we can get. So there is a few families who do make a minyan in Kanianga Lake sometimes after, and it's a shaila, really, it's a brachal of atala, all of their davening and everything, to be honest, al pi halacha. But what else can I say about this town of Palm Tree? The question is I have a very strong religious devotion to Kiryas Joel, personally. It's a place that means a lot to me, to my family, and has been so for at least 12, 15 years. So the religious devotion I have, particularly, of course, to the pilgrimage shrine, the kever of the Rebbe Zechus Yigin Leinu, and many other tzaddikim were buried there, many of whom I had some personal, not really direct shaykhis necessarily, but family shaykhis, friends of family and things. Some I met, the Kiryas Joel, B'Shaya Gross, the Kiryas Berber Rebbe, I did meet 2 or 3 times when he was there for my friend Ruvain's Chasana. Ruvain Gross has been, who the Rebbe adopted. And who, I said to Ruvain, now you're the Rebbe. It seems like Hanania is also not interested in being Rebbe, but Ruvain, he should be Rebbe now, and Rebbe Hanania is right to be Rebbe for sure, and Ruvain is also right to be the Rebbe, in my opinion. But it's neither here nor there. And Hanania told me that Ruvain, his tzura is really exactly the tzura of his uncle. The thing is, what the other Rabbi Yoshel, there's the other uncle. I gave him a kvittel once when he came into the pizza shop. Kann doch ja sein a Rebbe, full mit a kurze Reckl and a bend down hat. And so anyway, Yuska is his name? I don't remember. Kann doch sein Rebbe, verwusst nicht. So anyway, we what else we talked about? Hanania, I also hold as a Rebbe, and if I hold them to be Rebbe, it's good enough. So anyway, I'm not a Kiryas Chussid. I had a big havamina yesterday to go to Staten Island because my elder Zayda Ignat Schwartz, who I'm named after Yitzchak, that's where I have the name Yitzchak from. So he's buried in the same chelka, maybe 30 feet away from Shaila Kiryas Zabrida, Yehuda Tzvi Steiner. And Rabbi Shaila Zochusigan said, if you can't make it to me, go to my brother. So that's in Staten Island. I had a big havamina to go there yesterday because I'm pretty sure I don't remember exactly, I think it was sometime this week was my Alter Zayda's yard site. Yesterday was also the yard site of a big Alter Zayda, going back 200 years ago, 300 years ago, whatever, the 250 years, whatever, was Meyer Leib Ostreicher, who's the first ruler of, is one of my ancestors, big tzaddik. He's quoted in the Noda B'Yehuda, and it's interesting. I find this out now because I once was by the kever of the Noda B'Yehuda in Prague, but in Richmond, the Rav from the other shul there, Bar Tzvi Yalkut, Daniel Yalkut, it's a big Talmud Chacham, a fine Erlich Chayid. He's a Rav in Pittsburgh. So Rabbi Yalkut, he's an Eina Kuldach from the Noda B'Yehuda. So that my Zayda, the Kruler Rav, was quoted in Noda B'Yehuda. I could have hacked him about that. I remember he had in his sukkah a picture of Noda B'Yehuda, and it says, Koschus Avos Yagan Aleinu. So I guess he liked the Hasidish Zmiris also. I remember he wore a gartel and davened with Sfar, davened from Biala Siddur. Here I was with the Sheikhs Biala. I didn't daven from Biala Siddur. I always am not a Biala Chassid. I'm Hungarian. That's how I identify. I mean, my father's Polish, but he's not Jewish, But I used to joke around with the Biala Rebbe's that Rav Nosson David Shidlovtzer, whose yard site was about 10 days ago, a little bit more, 12 days ago. So Rav Nosson David was a big tzaddik, very big Rebbe in Poland, who's the Eina Kuldida Kodesh. And I was once there by his kever in Poland, in Shidlovce. But Rav Nosson David, used to like give advice to the local Gentiles and Shidlovtza, Shidduchim and stuff. And I said, well, maybe one. And they said, he was making big tikkunim. The Hasidim used to say when and he would give the local Gentiles business advice and everything. He was very friendly to the local Gentiles in Shidlovtza, and I would joke around a bit with the Biala Rebbes that maybe that's why I have a shaykhus with Biala, is that one of the shidduchim he made is maybe Ocha Epis Zayda, from my father's side. Although it's possible the name Kolakowski, there were Jewish Kolakowskis, maybe. He claims there was also some Yiddish ancestry on his side as well. Same thing. My wife, her father. I mean, he had ancestor Schwartz, and that's also my mother's maiden name. But from my wife's family, there were Schwartzes, and he claimed he was Jewish. My shver, and who I never met, it was before my time, but and he used to call himself with the name Yehuda. He used to draw, the old, on World War II, they would have the little graffiti, Kilroy was here. So he would draw it, but he would write Yehuda was here. So, who knows? Verweist was, of course, in the Mormon church, there is like a big, tradition, like, so now I'm in Mamakating now. I'm in Wurtsboro, and I see all the signs. It's like when you see these political signs, it's like a lulav on Shabbos Bereshis or something. Like what are you gonna do with this exactly? Like matzah, it's left over after Pesach, you can still eat it. But the lulav, sometimes when there's no rain, they take out the lulav, and there's some kind of an inyan with that. But Baruch Hashem, we have rain. As far I don't know in Eretz Yisrael what's going on, but Baruch Hashem, here we've had rain. Although I need the I changed my windshield wipers yesterday, hoping it would fix something, and kind of just made it worse. So I gotta bring it into the mechanic and see what can be done with that. But I don't have a lot of time, so. It's fascinating to me how the political climate in Mamakating was worked out with the, in Bloomingburg there's over 100 families, so they have a block vote of about at least 200 people, and the way it was strategized was brilliant. This year they finally learned, these are things I've been saying for years. This year they really learned how to use their political clout. Now, one thing that I'm very proud of in Bloomingburg, even though I don't live in Bloomingburg, but a lot of the people they were voting for were across the Sullivan County lines, like Mike Schiff, who's a wonderful person, incredible person. He's our sheriff, the county sheriff. Fantastic speaker, a real mensch, and someone we're very proud of in Sullivan County. The whole county is proud of Mike Schiff. But I think he was running unopposed, but still, he's someone who we're very proud of. But in general, we voted for what I love about Sullivan County is that, first of all, we have the the luxury of giving our bloc vote to Republicans. I say that because there are a lot of people who say, oh, the bloc vote, that's who gives, that's why we have de Blasio, and that's why we have Cuomo and all these Democrats. And the fact of the matter is, but here in Bloomingburg, even on the when we were voting for governor, they gave their bloc vote to Republicans. But the fact of the matter is, whether you're talking about Cuomo, de Blasio, whoever you're talking about, even if not one Orthodox Jew would vote for them, they would still be in office. There's absolutely nothing. The Orthodox community is not big enough to sway an election on the state level or on the New York City level, on the citywide level. So to claim that, it's, Peggy, we might actually make the bus. Should we try or should we not try? We should try. Let's see. So to make a claim like that these Jews they gave their bloc vote. That's why we're stuck with Cuomo, and that's why we're stuck with de Blasio. That's just silly. But the fact of the matter is, they can't. When you live in such a visible area, and you have a bloc voting power, you lose the secret nature of the ballot to a certain extent. I mean, there's going to be a few individuals who are not going to vote along the bloc vote lines, but in general, you see it's usually very high numbers that that in as far as these bloc votes and things go, the same thing is in Harlem, the same thing is in all kinds of different neighborhoods. It's not just the Hasidic community. It's basically the Hasidic community has learned community organizing in a tremendous way, but the fact of the matter is, when it comes to the bloc votes and things, they cannot antagonize, because then they're afraid that they're gonna be persecuted. So if they don't give their bloc vote, for example, to you're right, you didn't. These girls go on your bus? Alright. Alright, you could go because I love you. If they don't give their bloc vote, for example, to Cuomo, he's not going to give them what they want. And Mario Cuomo used to always say, these people don't ask very much, and it's true. When you compare to other groups, the Hasidim, like the way he said it, the way Mario Cuomo said it back in the old days, was that you sure the bus didn't go? All right. Was like this, if they don't ask. These people don't ask very much. Meaning other groups and unions and things, they'll ask 90 things a year, and they'll get 10 of what they ask for. And these other groups, they're gonna ask for. Really just want to turn around. They're going to ask but the Hasidim, they only ask for 2 or 3 things every year, and they usually tend to get whatever they ask for because they don't ask for that much. You know, that's what Mario Cuomo used to say. You know, but people were upset about the Kiryas Joel school district. They felt it was that it was unconstitutional, even though it really wasn't. And the only one who really understood the Constitution back then was the late great Justice Scalia of blessed memory. But it is what it is. So, but on the small towns, certainly the black votes do matter. And so here, living here, where the vote actually matters, we can vote our conscience, vote Republican. But not only that, but it proves something else, which I'm going to take a break now. I actually made a half hour already, so we're going to discuss this in the next video. All right, God bless. Please like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you soon.